Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today, we're going to be going over an item that has been changed pretty drastically since the first time I made a video on this. And I remember being very harsh with this particular item because it was kind of garbage. It has definitely improved, and maybe you might consider adding it into your trap rogue. And that is Eyes in the Dark. Eyes in the Dark is a pair of pants that does drop Ancestral and Sacred, and it's mainly only in World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. You're not going to find it usually anywhere else. There's like some weird ways that you can obtain unique items in World Tier 2 and 1 sometimes, but for the most part, you won't see it in World Tier 1 or 2. This is pants, and it does have, while injured, your potion also grants you 30% movement speed for 2 seconds. Now, personally, I still prefer the barrier, but, it is what it is. It also grants you 16% shadow damage, which varies from 10.5 to 7.5 damage, which of course makes sense because obviously you're utilizing this particular trap with it, which is a shadow damage trap as far as I understand. And obviously that's going to increase the damage of your death trap. We also have 35% damage to enemies affected by trap skills, so 21 to 35%. And then it also has 403 to 873 life, maximum life, which is very nice. Pants are one of your highest defensive stat items. You can get quad 4 defensive stat pants. Now, ever since they fixed resistances, we have not needed to stack damage reduction as much as we have in the past. And so things have kind of changed a little bit. You don't necessarily have to have quad armor and quad pants anymore to survive, but it definitely still helps to have damage reduction on your pants and armor. So it's nice that it has life. And it also has damage reduction, so 3.1 to 7.3% flat damage reduction on them as well. These pants are actually pretty well crafted now. They're a lot better than they were before. And the effect is better too, so let's go over the effect. So Death Trap deals 46 times increased damage unless it hits a boss or player. Death Trap will continue to rearm itself until it kills an enemy. Now, interestingly enough, before it had a increased cooldown and a bunch of other garbage on it, and honestly, it's way better now. So basically, it gives you a multiplier in damage against anything that is not a boss or a player, which is actually everything. So elites count also. Obviously, every single monster in the game besides bosses and players. So it's going to give you a pretty huge amount of damage. On top of this, it continues to rearm itself until it kills an enemy. Now, in the past, we've tested this. And basically how it works is it will just continually rearm over and over and over again until it eventually destroys whatever enemy you're dealing with. And let me just go ahead and pull this one real quick. And let's pull in Death Trap for the moment so we can test this and show you how it works. But basically, it's just a matter of...
I need more time.
Just use it, and it sits on the ground, and if a monster walks into it, it will continue to rearm itself until that monster is dead, one way or the other. It doesn't really take a whole lot of effort to see, but the problem that I've noticed is that, well... it goes off, or rather it stops, even if it hits like
Not in town.
an absolute weakling. Like, let me explain this as best as I possibly can, because it seems like really a good effect when you first hear about it. But the problem with it remains that if there's any monsters that are very weak that enter the field, it's going to stop. Like, for instance, these little baby spiders, for instance. It'll stop as soon as it kills one baby spider. And the issue with this is just that, well, the effect just isn't quite as good as it seems. Yes, if you are fighting really tough monsters and the monsters aren't dying, it will reset over and over again until a monster dies. But because it will stop doing this, even if only one little tiny baby monster dies, and I'm talking about like the little maggots or the little baby spiders or like the flies, like, you know, like the little flies that go around the dungeon that are like absolutely weak as dirt and literally takes like one shot to kill them. Anything that dies will cause the effect to stop rearming itself, and so it doesn't rearm itself hardly at all, which is an issue. Now, if you're fighting an elite monster or something like that, and that's the only monster that you have on the screen, it could probably be pretty effective. Because it now obviously only stops rearming itself unless it's a boss or a player. It will actually continue to rearm itself until it kills an enemy that's an elite. So, for instance, if I were to go out here and, like, say, for instance, I don't know, kill some of these guys. Let me see if I can find, like, just an elite monster. And kind of show you what I mean. So we need to isolate an elite. Of course, there's not always an elite standing around when you need him, is there?
I need more time.
Oh yeah, I gotta put the pants back on. I know what, I have a dungeon up. Let's go into the dungeon real quick, and we'll use that. I could probably get an elite by himself in the dungeon. Obviously, this is going to happen a lot as a matter of course. So just as a matter of just playing the game, you're going to have this happen all the time. But the thing is that it's it's not something that you're going to have like right off the bat. So here we go. We've got damage resistant aura. Of course, he's pretty easy to kill. Let's find somebody who's not easy to kill.
I need more time.
Alright, so here we go. We got High Inquisitor, whatever, butts its face. Alright, let's kill all of his little minions, so there's nothing on the screen but him.
I need more time.
Alright, put it down on top of him. And now you can see it's going to continue to go over and over and over again. Of course, he teleported out of it. He teleported out of it. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, there we go. Okay. So he's back in it now. As you can see, he's getting hit repeatedly by the thing. So if you're fighting an elite or something like that, and the elite, is not going to die within a relatively short period of time, having the ability to spam your effect on them is nice. Now, obviously, they have to stay standing in it, though, which is an issue. But then as soon as they die, then it will eventually go away. It resets itself over and over again, basically, until somebody dies. And it's interesting. It's an interesting effect, and I do think it would work well on a trap character. Maybe in combination with one of the new trap items, which I'll be going over in the next episode, which is the Scoundrel's Leather. And that one is interesting as well. We'll talk about that one later. Now, the flavor text on this one is, "And so, when the sun dipped behind the hills each night, he knew that Ashen Jack would soon be near, watching and waiting at Green Slade's Tales, Chapter 2, each long night." Now, I don't necessarily like this approach to items, and I'd like to talk about this for a second as well, is that this item is designed around a specific skill. This represents a lot of what I would consider the old uniques of Diablo 4. And the old uniques of Diablo 4 were all like this. They were all kind of like designed around a specific thing, a specific skill. And the problem with this is that, well, it's stupid. Because if you find this unique and you're not using this specific skill, well then you don't want to use it, right? So you're not really interested in it. And that's kind of the way that things go, is that if you don't actually want to use the skill, well then the unique item becomes useless. A lot of the newer uniques, like things like Godslayer's Crown, are very generic and can work very well across multiple classes and multiple builds. Whereas something like this is very specific and it only works with one build on one class, which is unfortunate. And it's not really an issue with the unique itself. It's just an issue with the itemization, the design. I mean, if you're going to be using Death Trap, it's an interesting choice But if you're not going to be using Death Trap, well, then it's basically garbage, right? Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when we're just going over the 1.20 version of Eyes of the Dark. And as always, keep watching.